I said, well, let's try Googling the worst neighborhood in Chicago in real time, like right now. I'm not talking yesterday, right now. And when they Google it, there were 10 or 11 people who were just shot and murdered. I said, we have to go there. And people said, whoa, the studio won't allow that. I said, no, we have to go here. I watched the body language of Daniel Kaluuya. I watched the body language of Dominique Fishback, Charles King. We had to do a lot of changes. The title, script, you know what I'm saying? We came out with what we referred to as a dream team.
So hear what I say, for it is the truth you see. There can only be one, the original.
OG, 2 letters that define respect. Welcome to the original OGs. I created the original OGs to document the forgotten parts of American history. I want to recognize and give a voice to the men and women that have climbed to the top of their game. Believe me, the men and women that sit in front of this marquee have been authenticated as original OGs. My name is Mr. Rick. Welcome to my world, a world of the originals, the unique. Welcome to the original OGs. Welcome to the original OGs, and I'm your host, OG Mr. Rick. Today we have another fascinating show for you, rather special to me, a dear friend of mine. I would like to welcome to the show none other than Fred Hampton Jr. Free 'em all.
Free 'em all, my brother. Right on. Good.
How you feel, brother?
Hey, good to be here.
Good. Let's take a journey, man. Start by getting into the history of your father. What, in your mind, inspired your father to want to do what it was that he set out to do for black people?
Let me, I would like to preface with, I said a number of occasions, I feel fortunate to have fallen from the tree of 2 freedom fighters.
Yes, sir.
That of Chairman Fred Hampton and also of Vakua and Jerry, formerly known as Deborah Johnson.
Mother
And
comrade.
yes, indeed. Ironically, that's your initial question, because I was just having some dialogue when you talking about it. I was saying when people talk about an individual, a lot of times you say, when you talk about their children, they say, well, this is my child, this is my son or my daughter. And I say, that's subjective, because the reality is that, a child is a combination of not only their parents,
It's
that's
our
around their
child.
family, no doubt about it, yes, indeed. And DNA is a hell of a thing, but also, different dynamics that impact our lives. And I think back even Revolutionary Suicide, where Minister U.E.P. Noonan authored, and he talked about, he went so far as like generations back, how he was impacted, who he was. And you get Malcolm X and other forces, they talk about, not just in a reactionary way, just saying, this is who I am, but putting things in context. Ironically, at the time we having this discussion, we getting set to go down to the grave site of Chairman Fred, my father, who's buried down in Haynesville, Louisiana. And that's a whole other story about, and people say, why was he buried there? And it was a key reason is that it's right by his grandfather, my great-grandfather, who had a deep impact on him as a child, as well as even in my life. I think back on stories that, not to sound cliches, but war stories that my mother told me that, dialogue that her and Chairman would have. And he would tell her situations, when he was a youth, when he was a child, how his grandfather, took him around and gave him the history of, parts of Louisiana, but just, with our people in general. So as a child, I definitely give a lot of credit to that individual, Mr. L.E. White. And then, I constantly, engage with people. I hear a lot, again, war stories, people that grew up with them, and, classmates to talk about, war stories such as him being 12 years old, even going to school, where his older brother, he had 2 siblings, an older brother and an older sister, he was the youngest. His older brother was in school being accosted and assaulted by some white boys in the school. And this before he became the chairman. He took a wagon full of bottles and went over there and dealt with it, And then he about 12 years old, him seeing different, dealing with contradictions such as no swimming pool facilities for black children. So it's, so I'll be hard pressed to pick out one point.
No, I get it.
Yeah, my mother who grew up in the village, she was the oldest of 3 siblings. And ironically, she went to elementary school named Irving, and Chairman Fred, then Fred went to school named Irving too. But her connection to our people, you know what I'm saying, in different situations, I hear from her on a continuous basis. So again, I feel fortunate falling from a tree of 2 freedom fighters.
See, and that's what this story is about. We do want to lead up from the past to your mother, to your father, and then into your present life.
Yeah.
It is my perception that you can't really know the person if you don't know something about their past and their upbringing. So in saying that, can you recall your family, your mom, describing to you the earlier days of their life in order to pass on to you what you were dealing with in this world?
It was and it remains to be so intertwined in my life. I think back situations such as something that may seem ordinary as children patronizing the ice cream truck when the ice cream truck comes down the street. But with me, there was certain dynamics, like when you're in an ice cream truck, I would have to look, even as a child, in particular as a child, I had to make sure it wasn't a good humor ice cream truck. And I recall, a lot of my colleagues or children around my age, I'm talking, this preteen age I'm talking about.
Yes, sir.
They would make jokes about like, oh yeah, make sure you don't eat good humor ice cream. And this is something that we still to this day hold to, being the fact that one of the cases, in fact, a major case that Chairman Fred was framed with was the infamous ice cream truck robbery, in which the state had claimed that he supposed to took $71 worth of ice cream from a good humor ice cream truck. The guy's name was Neville, the driver of the ice cream truck. Stuff like that is in my brain,
Took that ice cream and passed it out to the children.
They said Chairman Fred took the ice cream and gave it to the children. And his defense, he said, even though they lied on me, made me have to be a thief, they made me have to be a Robin Hood type of thief, showing the true nature of a Panther, giving to the people. Ironically, too, the brother who came forward said he the one that did the ice cream. The state said, no, we want Chairman Fred. Situations such as that, just, it was never just a sit-down conversation with just a book or just, it was, intertwined, every aspect. I remember walking, getting with some other children, we may have been cutting class that day, and they asking our name, and people saying, why you gotta give them an alias,
Right.
It was second nature to me.
You were present in the transition of your father, which was an assassination of your father, being in your mother's womb in her stomach at that time when all of this took place.
Correct.
So as you grew up, not really being able to touch and feel your father, and information coming from secondhand sources, what was that like, not to have him in your life, but yet the presence is very strong, because I know your mother kept it alive, but you're constantly meeting people that are telling you these histories, and then you have to investigate them to make sure that they're true.
I said in a poem I had written before, a poem entitled To Chairman Fred on Father's Day. I'm paraphrasing what I said. I said, a lot of people want to know how does it feel to be sired by you, to be loved by the people and sweated by the you-know-who, referencing the government. If I had my choice to do it all again, I would choose to be your son. And by the way, Daddy, that lady that you chose, she was the one. I think back, watching the old VHS tapes, Chairman Fred speaking, and actually getting into fisticuffs with brothers in the basement if they would laugh at the clothing that the Panther Party had. And I would say stuff like, man, they giving free breakfast, y'all tripping about their clothes back then. And I recall even struggling to hold my hands down when I spoke. And until after I seen Chairman Fred speak, how he moved his hand, I said, oh, this the business. I'm good with this.
Right.
Community was a classroom for me also. I recall situations. I definitely don't want to romanticize it. I remember being in, I think it was the 7th District Police Station. It happened to be 7 or 8 of us with the last name Hampton. And a younger police that came in the room said, which one of them is related to D. Hampton?
Yeah, which one of y'all
Right,
is
right. Now this ain't the Price is Right. Ain't that,
Right.
Ain't everybody gonna say come on down. So nobody responded. So an older police came in and he pulled a file cabinet open and like a fresh photo of Chairman Fred and put it next to our faces. I was like the third person. He said,
You're the
"Sure."
one.
He said, "It's your man right there." Those are some of the different dynamics, growing up, and like I said, it was second nature to conversations in the house.
Right.
About who Chairman Fred was.
At some point in your life, you become disgruntled, it appears to me, and you begin to buy into the life that existed in the streets.
Mother Comrade has said something to the effect in regards to fellow Panther Club, Tupac. Say Pac needed organization and organization needed Pac. I'm not detached from the realities, and even to put in context, what happened to the Black Panther Party?
Right.
That was such an incorrect narrative that was put out. People say, well, the Black Panther Party just faded away, it's over. But the reality is that it was a hard hit, the infamous COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program. And the way that Chairman Fred and Defense Captain Mark Clark, the way that they were assassinated, and we stress that word, it was done in a way to send terror, to terrify the people, horror to horrify the people. That a lot of people was even fearful to speak about who Chairman Fred was. And I remember being suspended from school, just making mention of him, The military defeat, I distinguish that from, because as we said, the Black Panther Party, ideologically, they won. Because you can make mere mention of the Black Panther Party, people come to life. But as our community in general, people say, what happened, to the movement, why people didn't go on, so on and so forth. And the deal is, the after effects, ongoing effects of COINTELPRO, there was some agent provocateurs, In fact, we said with the movie, Judas and Black Messiah, William O'Neill was not the only one. He was not the only agent provocateur. And that whole structure, again, now the military defeat of it and the ongoing wiping out of any discussion. A brother in Maywood, Chairman Fred, where he grew up at, he's 53 years old. While watching the movie, he said something to the effect that his father asked him, how do you know about all this? He said, his son, Chairman Fred, told me. He asked his father, he said, Dad, why didn't I know? And he said, because his father cried and said, we just wanted peace. So I come up impacted, And I look back in retrospect and I relate to something to the fact that late great Malcolm X has said. He said, I learned American history through his ghettos and through his prisons. And I spoke at a repast we did with Stanley Tookie Williams, co-founder of the Crips in LA. And I recall going to Lemur Park, and I said something to the effect that Tookie Williams grew up in the climate similar that I grew up in, deprived of an organization such as the Black Panther Party, where in many cases the only options provided for you are become either, in some sense, a banger or a Boy Scout. In other words, suitable and booed up for corporate America or suitable for the streets,
Correct.
And I said, never again on our watch. That's why even with the Black Panther Party Cubs. And I'm so appreciative for even, not midwife, but the kind of like surrogate parents. Pac said something to the effect too, like how the streets had, embraced them,
Exactly.
Yeah.
Chicago is known for its quote unquote gangs. What was your experience in coming up in Chicago and dealing with the organizations that existed?
Respectful, and I know, like I tell people when you speak about different dynamics. In fact, as a term we use with the Black Panther Party Cubs, we use the term called the unpoliticized street tribes, and like even people, like even this generation is presently speaking now. You hear terms like gangs. I grew up in an era where those were fighting words. So if you can actually Google or look some old graffiti, you can look on the different walls. There were acronyms such as CVLN, BPSN, GDN, BDN. And the commonality of that N was reflective of a nation.
A nation.
Nation.
Right.
And the words are powerful, you know what I'm saying?
Yes, sir.
And it was like in Chicago, even being the fact that the top, if not even still to this day, top segregated city. The question of race and class, but in particular race, is something that, you know what I'm saying, that impacts every aspect, from the businesses to the dialogue, to the electoral politics, to that of the street organizations.
Yes.
The word black, it was a clarity, you know what I'm saying, of that. So I was, you know what I'm saying, to be able to work with, I had to work with and get some of the positive aspects, reaffirming of a question, something I don't take for granted, of nationality. Not in an abstract way, but in a theoretical, in a practical way. Like even the different Chicago, the street organizations, and I know a lot of youngsters, you hear them say gang, gang, but again, when I was growing up, those are fighting words.
Right.
The term, like even the geography was impacted by that. There were certain locations that people would say, you know, where you going? And actually, a lot of people couldn't even know the actual streets. They would use terms like, you know, with Murder Town, Motown,
Right.
you know what I'm saying?
Right.
Lordsville, and it was reflective of the different dynamics of the street organizations. And that dynamic of structure is reflective. I tell people, you are a product of who you're colonized by.
Exactly.
In other words, in Brazil, we just can't say, oh, that's beautiful that the people play the drums and the beat. You have to put in context that the Portuguese, unlike the English, in America, the Portuguese never made the drum illegal. You know what I'm saying? So the people are, even when their movement, how they move around. Case in point, Chicago. We were, you know what I'm saying, to our community, we were and are impacted by the dailies, by the
Exactly.
Capones, the dynamic of structure, you know, initially,
To this day.
To this day. So no one is detached from that, because initially Capone was in New York, but when in Chicago, that dynamic of structure, that, you know, in fact, Chicago was the last place that crack cocaine was able to be introduced in, being that they had to get rid of certain, that Fluky Stokes had to be murdered, Jeff Ford, a.k.a. Chief Malik, had to be locked up. It was certain dynamics of structure that, you know, that impacted Chicago. It was a phenomenon.
It would not allow that.
Would not allow that. It was checks and balances.
You know, going back to your beloved father, he had a relationship with these different guys, Jeff Ford, Larry, Minister Rico, all of these guys. When you began to grow up, did you have a relationship connected to these particular people I just named, Jeff and Minister Rico, and did they embrace you saying, hey, you know, we got you?
Ironically, there was a moniker that was given in the infamous Menard prison, Menard concentration camp. When Chairman Fred was there in 1969, and I was there in 1999. And the moniker I was given was deja vu. It was like, you've been there before. And I've been in situations where dialogue with some of the same individuals that you named, you know, so from Minister Rico, in fact, we just did a food giveaway. And we would talk, he was talking about similar discussions and dialogue he had with Chairman Fred, to that of an event I'm supposed to tomorrow with Larry Hoover's son, to that of Jeff Ford, Chief Malik, some of his children, and ironically, some of the same dialogue struggles, you know, and to the point that sometimes I sit back and say, whoa, it's like history, you know what I'm saying, repeating itself, you know. And it wasn't, I don't want to romanticize this either, under contested conditions.
Right.
Reference me as Chairman Fred. I said under contested conditions. I tell people, like, you know, it's not like some sort of dynasty where you say, okay, you're his son, you're gonna be the chairman.
Right.
And that's in many cases a lot, you know, I mean, you talk about, you know, the children of Mickey Cogwell, Jeff Ford, Larry Hoover, so on and so forth. Contested conditions. It's, you find out who you are, and and so I appreciate those contested conditions.
Right.
But you find out through the good, the bad, and the ugly. You don't romanticize. You see, okay, what is someone else's ideology?
Exactly.
It's placed in front of your ideology. Is this you know, are you going to hold it even when it's not popular?
Right.
Okay, you know, what if some more concessions maybe, or maybe easier to, you know, send it back up and not pick up a baton, and to see who you are. You know?
I get it.
Yeah.
So in that period of your life, in experiencing these different organizations, you yourself ended up in a situation similar to your father, and you end up in the penal system. What was that experience like?
As I said, as I mentioned earlier about, I think back different times, being taken to the police station, different trumped up cases being given. A major case, one of the major cases being snatched up was 1992, right in response to the verdict in Semi Valley about the LAPD beating of Rodney King. And there were uprisings occurring all over. And I recall this vividly. I recall this. Walking down the street, walking my daughter, who was 3 years old at the time, and we had these water guns. We were like joking, like we were called the cool walk, but
Right.
go out with my daughter. And simultaneously, like 25 cars, law enforcement cars, they stopped, hit the block. Automatically, I looked through the gangways, looked through both sides. It's law enforcement everywhere.
Here they come.
They banged at the door simultaneously. And they grabbed me, and they were trying to grab my daughter, and I refused to be taken to the car, to the community, to make sure my daughter's secured. My mother, he came out the house, so once I seen my daughter was secured, they threw me in the backseat of the car. They were flipping through all these photos of me. He said, isn't this you? So I was just thinking, who is this, So I said, no, who are you? Saying, aren't you Fred Hampton Jr.? I said, no, who are you? So get to the station, they introduced themselves with this agency. Pete from Chicago Police Department. I'm such and such from this agency, you name it. They were back and forth. I kind of stopped for a minute. I thought about my mother said when she was locked up, how the different agencies was debating on which agency is going to arrest them. And that same similar situation occurred. And I was to be informed that I was being charged with 2 counts of aggravated arson, in which they said I was supposed to firebomb these two Korean-owned stores on the south side of Chicago. I noticed one particular law enforcement individual, he's calling the shots. And I couldn't, I said, well, how is he different agency? How is he calling shots over all the agencies? He was the director of this.
Correct.
Lo and behold, while I was out on bond for this case I'm talking about, I'm going through old Black Panther Party newspapers. I see, whoa, Joseph P. Grubezek. This is the sergeant who was calling the shots. He was involved in what they call the Legion of Justice, a surveillance of my father, Chairman Fred Hampton.
Wow.
I said, wow, you talking about deja vu.
Yeah, now he's surveilling you.
Yeah, he's surveilling and leading up to the rest of them for me to give me this charge. So, I was sent to, I was locked up. Later, we had the Free Fred campaign. It became an international campaign. I got out on bond. We organized at our headquarters, the Chairman Fred Hampton House on 54th and Halsted.
Right.
But we had all the people from all over the surrounding suburbs and streets coming there. And I was subsequently convicted, taken back in and convicted, Cook County Courthouse, sentenced to 18 years.
Wow.
And at the time, you would serve half of the time. But I was placed on what they technically say is illegal, the circuit.
Right.
It still exists. Arbitrarily,
believe that.
Yes, it still exists. So I'm transferred everywhere. There were assassination attempts on my life. I was sent to some of the same places that Chairman Fred was at. And again, the infamous Menard, when I got there, I was given the name Deja Vu. The brother said, man, you Deja Vu,
Here we go again.
Here we go again. Yeah.
You're here. Let's take Menard.
Yes.
Per se. You can't help but to ponder on, wow, I wonder how my father felt. I wonder what my father did while he was. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes.
So,
yes.
Did you at that time begin to say to yourself, okay, I got to get deeper into my knowledge. I got to get deeper into what my plight really is here?
Yeah. That hit me prior to being locked up. In fact, I tip, I know a lot of people, they become, what they say, more conscious when they're locked up, but it hit me, my calling,
Right.
It hit me prior to being locked up, and I think the state recognized that. That's what they really anticipated, get down, make that move. It really, I took that, I embraced it, I welcomed it, what I'm saying, but the Menard in particular, I recall being transferred from Pontiac, and they would use these words like K9, K10, as opposed to saying which prison you going to.
Right.
And they, on the phone, I told my mother, and she was said to come visit me the next day in Pontiac. They cut the phones off and said, pack your stuff. And they had me set to be shipped. And when they said, when I overheard the word Menard, that's it, like, ooh, again, deja vu. And then, got there, the population, and they stopped me as soon as I came in, went through my property. And a Chicago Sun-Times newspaper had a picture of Chairman Fred, and they referenced this gang material. He has gang material.
Oh, wow.
And I was sent to isolation, and I got there, North Seg, Menard, and brothers were hollering all through the gallery. He's here, he's here. Actually, other prisoners, you can hear it. You know what I'm saying? And Menard, just for those who don't know, you would think it's back, it's the 1800s,
Right.
You know what I'm saying? So I heard some brothers, a few galleries down, say, well, where they have you at? I said, North Seg? They said, your father was on the same unit. I said, what? They said, yeah. They said, what gallery? I think I was on 8 gallery, 7 gallery. And I told them the gallery, and they said, oh, it's the same gallery he was on.
Might be the same sale.
Another brother said, what sale? I said, you know what? Let's hold up on this conversation for a minute.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? We getting a little too close. Give me a minute. Let me take this in. And the fact to this day, they say that the guards still have my picture and his picture in the gun towers right now to this day.
Wow.
We over here guards and talk about the situation when he was there, as well as I came into contact with prisoners.
Right.
Well, some prisoners in particular told me once that when he got transferred to Menard from Stateville, the deal was these prisoners who worked for the administration, they were supposed to attack Chairman Fred. They done this before for other problem prisoners. Mm-hmm. But when he got there, they say Chairman Fred politicized them. They say they told the warden, we own Chairman Fred's security.
Right.
Anything happened to him, we own you accountable for. And these are actual prisoners who was going to do this, told me this.
They're purposefully, ain't no secret to it, they're purposefully running you through this situation just like they ran your father through it. Now, at that time, did you begin to, as best you could, investigate similar situations because this became obvious to you that there's a conspiracy going on here? Did you relate that to the COINTELPRO?
I said, I was locked, prior to this. So all my life I had a general assessment that, man, this would come with it, who you the son of. But prior to me being locked up, it's a quote unquote crime to be the son of Chairman Fred.
Right.
I had some issues with some members that was in the Black Panther Party. A high school I attended one time as a freshman. I come the principal how he would look at me, and I asked the party. I said, "Y'all ever heard it? What's going on?" And they said, "Oh yeah, we forgot to tell you. The Panthers took their school over
right
to have a Black Studies program." I said, "Duh! I wish you'd have told me." So all my I remember some brothers riding in the car, and one brother asking me, "Why you keep looking in the rearview mirror? Don't you have your license?" I said, "Exactly. That's why I'm looking in the rearview mirror."
Looking.
So, and it was difficult to relate this to other people, and even to this day.
Right.
A lot of people say that they know, they understand, but I was clear. And some people say, he paranoid. He think he back in the '60s. Pac said initially, he wish he could have ran away from who he was. I experienced that, briefly.
I understand.
You wish, I wish to live a normal, quote-unquote civilian,
Yeah.
But I embraced it. I acknowledged it, and a lot of heat come with it. Just a simple thing like going for a job interview. I really had to come to grips with, stop attempting to think I can win people to really understand that. It's a foreign language to people,
Right.
But just to get to the point to say, respect it. I tell people,
Right.
a woman can never explain to a man the dynamics of child labor,
Right.
having a baby, the pains of it. We can respect it.
You never can experience
You
it.
never can experience it. Who I am, and I'm not saying it's an egotistical way, in all humbleness. The dynamics that come with that, the heat that comes with it.
It is what it
is.
is.
It is what it is.
You had one thing working for you that guided you and helped you become the person that you are. That was your mother, Mother Comrade. So I know she's a strong woman. She's never thrown the fight down. You and I are personal friends. And
No doubt about it.
I can remember saying, well, Fred, so-and-so, so-and-so, and Mother Comrade would stop me and say, that's Chairman Fred. You understand what I'm saying? She'll play no games with that,
That's my A1 from day one.
Bam.
That's my Cool and Jerry, formerly known as Deborah Johnson. That was my first jail cellie. That's my first time being locked up. My birth certificate was almost my death certificate.
Exactly.
December the 4th, 1969. She was 8.5 months carrying me. And, they talking about the impacts that you experience. fact, it was just recently, I think 2 years ago, after the movie, the release of Judas and the Black Messiah, I recall having a discussion with the staff, with the cast, producers and everyone. I said, it just dawned on me and my mother that to this very day, we both wake up at approximately 4:30 a.m. every morning.
Right. Every morning.
Every morning. Every morning.
Wow.
And just for the record, that's the approximate time that they kicked the doors in and assassinated Chairman Fred and Defense Captain Mark Clark.
Wow.
In fact, I remember I was talking to another brother. He was locked up. His mother we talking about his case, and his mother, she overheard me. She said, "You call your mother comrade?" And it's stuff that we took for granted, that we take for granted.
Right.
It's not just doing Black History Month or when it's politically correct. It's in us.
Exactly.
And sometimes it can be difficult, what I'm saying, like to relate this to people, But she's a comrade who, the impact with me, I think back when I was approximately 12 years old, when a book deal, a proposal was brought, and this was one of the occasions that we had no heat, our gas was off.
Right.
One of the cold winters in Chicago. And she wouldn't go with the book deal. They was raising up the police as these heroes, and she wouldn't go. Even when other members that may have been in the Panther Party or family members
went that way.
They was pushing her. This is before the youngsters started saying, "Get the bag." They was like, "Why don't you just go for the money?"
Right.
And under contested conditions, I recall her position. She says it's a no-go. And it remained principled like that, to this day.
Until this day.
I feel fortunate. And as you said, with the structure, the respect. One lady said she couldn't understand, she couldn't relate to the fact of her covering over his body when he assassinated. And another interviewer said, "How did you feel to cover over your man?" And she said, "I covered over the deputy chairman of Illinois chapter of the Black Panther Party." That structure, that commitment. So hypothetically, say they had an argument, say they just broke up that morning, say we're not in a relationship anymore. That commitment,
Still
it's
the chairman.
surpassed that of just a relationship.
Still the chairman.
Yes, indeed.
Yeah.
Yes, indeed.
And to this day, I know for a fact that that's how she walks.
That's
and
how she
talks,
walks and talks and cares.
you
Yes.
know, and a strong individual. She's been through a lot.
Yes.
When they started wanting to shoot the film that was out, you and your mother fight these people in order to keep this story as truthful and on point as possible. She was relentless.
Yes.
You were relentless
Yes.
in not allowing them to fabricate the story
Yes.
from a Hollywood point of view.
Yes.
That's her strength.
Yes. Initially, we heard word that people talking about doing a movie on Chairman Fred. We were dismissive. We just, okay, here we go again. So many cases, people say they wanted to talk about the chairman of the Black Panther Party, but they really don't want to.
Right.
The script has already been written. In fact, this was the case here also.
Right.
Literally, the script be written. So a lot of times people just say, we just need you to be the face, and we're going to tell our version of the Black Panther
Right.
Party. They come into contact with people that say, okay, I'm willing to go along, whatever you want to do, whatever narrative you want to put. But that legacy, we hold on to it because what it done, not only in my life, but so many people, look at that climate, it was a different sort of relationship, different sort of music, a different sort of discussion. Again, a lot of us say we want the truth, but is that the movie, A Few Good Men,
Can you
Jack Nicholson's character said, you can't handle the truth, you know what I'm saying?
Right.
So we back and forth, and we heard about it, and so I said, well, wait a minute, we had to meet these people, people
Right.
talking about playing my mother, Chairman Fred. So a lot of people say, man, it doesn't work like that in Hollywood.
Right.
And I had to make clear, I'm not from Hollywood, I'm from Inglewood, South
You got
Chicago.
your woods messed up.
Yeah. So we finally, in fact, we convened at the Hampton House, so we had to meet these people. The house that Chairman Fred grew up in. And when they came, the cast members, the potential cast members, because it wasn't written,
Right.
it wasn't a green light.
Right.
Daniel Kaluuya, Dominic Fishback, Charles King of Macro, Shaka King, that right, my nephew, Ryan Coogler, his wife, Zenzi. At that table, we sitting there dialoguing. At least 8 hours,
Right.
We want to see meet these individuals. We say there's character in character.
Right.
It's not just playing a role.
Right.
So we said I want to go to my office, and that'd be in the streets. I said, well, let's try Googling the worst neighborhood in Chicago in real time, like right now. I'm not talking yesterday,
Yeah,
right
now.
Right now. And when they Google it, Madison and Keeler, known as K-Town,
Exactly.
there were 10 or 11 people who were just shot and murdered. I said, we have to go there. And people said, whoa, the studio won't allow that. I said, no, we have to go here. We went out there. I mean, those who've been in Chicago know how it goes down over there. It was hot. I watched the body language of Daniel Kaluuya. I watched the body language of Dominique Fishback, Charles King, and that helped win me to certain points of unity. But we had to do a lot of changes. The title, script, you know what I'm saying? But we came out with what we referred to as a dream team. We have an ongoing relationship, and the cast, the producers, and again, there were clashes where what may be advantageous speaking from a movie perspective, if it would clash politically speaking, so there were different dynamics. Like, we had the press as we say, hold a party line, but at the same time, understanding, that certain amount of entertainment has to come into getting people, to watch the movie. But for all practical purposes, and I'll say this, there was more truth and authenticity and sweat involved in that movie than any of the books that you've seen written about Chairman Fred.
Beautiful. When they first brought this to the table, were you suspect that there may have been some political or FBI, CIA involvement? What was your feeling about in the past when your father was living and they were trying to put the Black Panthers and Chairman Fred Hampton at odds?
The reality of COINTELPRO, the counterintelligence program, the impact that it has and continues to have.
Correct.
Relationships, business deals, you interact with people, simple discussions. And some people may say, well, that's no paranoia, but Chairman Fred, one of his sayings was that half these cats are, crazy, rest of them agents. By the time I figure out which one they are, I've been paying attention to the graveyard.
Okay.
And I've been in situations where, I can look back in retrospect and say, maybe that person didn't know they were actually on the payroll as agent, but there were agent activities. And sometimes, whether it be nefarious or naivety, the deal is, it does not dismiss the fact that I'm cut from a cloth.
Right.
Of an organization that is documented, it's acknowledged that over 90% of the COINTELPRO was directed at.
This show has the intent to define what a real OG is, what an original OG is. My partner and I have developed a method to ensure that if someone should sit in front of this OG logo, that they have been authenticated and found to be true in their history as far as what an OG is. And we're back. When this movie stuff came about and all of that, how did that affect your family, in different people being approached and trying to agree to certain things that you just totally disagreed with?
One of the pros of the movie was, I guess it loosened up, okay to even have a discussion about who Chairman Fred was, because I think a lot of people take it for granted, like, they say, well, we know about the Black Panther Party, but really it's said to us covertly and overtly in a certain way, like, don't talk about that. Like, even the dialogue we had, even with the soundtrack, I was, even this guy named Pooh Shiesty, Polo G, youngsters, they was on the soundtrack, and I was, those two in particular, I really dug from the younger generation to really, how do we say, with the movie, put that Panther Cub political peel in the applesauce. That's one of the pros. But of course, you have the fallout with, I seen someone after, a certain amount of, a little more notoriety, you get more cousins.
Yeah, they come out of the woodworks.
Yeah. Mind you, this was done prior to what we call the pandemic. So, we didn't get to put it out. In fact, we talking about doing a re-release.
Right.
Hopefully in Africa. We're working on that right now.
Cool.
But it's something that, again, a move that I look forward to. It could be like, they could stick in the minds and hearts. In the Black community in particular, similar to the way people talk about the Godfather movie.
Right.
And the Italian community, and people in general. It's like a Tupac song, it's ever developing.
Right. So, looking at the conditions of the streets, and I know your boots on the ground, what would you communicate to the young people as far as where we are today? Because this thing hasn't disappeared.
I think a lot of times people they would have a stereotypical response, a statement to the youth, something to the effect like, the possibilities of death or going to jail. But the reality is, these youngsters in particular, they deal with that on a daily basis. You know. And sometimes people look at, well, if I'm gonna be here, I know I'm on limited time. I know it's to the youth in particular and people in general. As an organizer, it's difficult to talk about, you know, taking a stance, being principled, especially when you have the other option right there in your face. You know what I'm saying? I mean, to be unprincipled.
Same thing we went through.
No doubt, you know. But it's extreme. I mean, the amount of
Turned
resources what these cats can get. We grew up into just even relationships and certain discussions. I mean, you go on Instagram, you can see everything now, you know.
Right.
However, I can't stress enough that we worth and we deserve more than that. One thing Minister UEP said, he didn't fear death. He feared death without a purpose.
Right.
He feared death without a purpose. And there were attempts to take Chairman Fred out prior to December 4th, 1969. He heightened the contradiction so it could never be his epitaph that there's a gang war or some trip, you know what I'm saying?
Exactly.
That's to be assassinated. It's a brother in Chicago who I played this, the brother named Lawrence. They call him Big Law. Mm-hmm. And I was locked up with this brother. You know what I'm saying? And I remember discussion with him to politicize him to the point that they called him Little Bobby Hutton after Little Bobby Hutton in the Black Panther Party. And leadership for one of the street trials, the Black disciples was asking me, say, man, what did you and him talk about? What did you do with him? I said, the politics. And even to the point that this brother who I love and respect, after his assassination, the Chicago Sun-Times referenced his death as an assassination. I said, that's a hell of a stand. So to the youth, they'll say, so if we leave a stain in the brain and the mark in people's heart that you live on, a legacy is more important than your life.
Right.
You know what I'm saying?
It continues to live.
It continues to live. So again, let's up the ante, you know what I'm saying? And be very clear. There's no war on drugs, there's no war on guns, there's no war on gangs. There's actually a war on our people.
Right.
You know? And the intertwine, to look at the situation different. It's like Percocet and the different forms of drugs, chemical, biological warfare. It's a narrative put out there. It's like a war between black men and black women. You know what I'm saying? They just said, hey, we got issues amongst us, but the people, we all we got. You know what I'm saying? So even like, I don't even call them correctional centers, concentration camps, and what they doing to us inside those places. You know what I'm saying? It's mind blowing.
Hey.
I'm gonna say one thing. I was about 12. A brother reminded me. I was about 12 years old. We was walking, and when an older guy, about 25 years old, he got murdered. And everybody was saying, he gonna be in the paper. At that time, this is before social media.
Right.
You would be in the Chicago Defender. Your name would be in the paper. And I just said to the brother, I refuse to be a one-liner in the newspaper.
Okay. That's insane.
It's up to Andy.
You know, how do you feel about the young people? How can they take advantage of the position that they hold today? Because they're putting out messages.
Yes. I'm not gonna romanticize it. Heat comes with when you start doing progressive stuff. The payday isn't as big. However, look at such examples. You know, it's Tupac, Nipsey. You know what I'm saying? Nipsey Hussle. You know what I'm saying? That to this day, you know what I'm saying? Because a lot of times you engage in certain things. This is music. This is in streets, whatever. A lot of things are a dime a dozen. It's like a relationship. It's like a meal. I can't ask you. Mr. Brick, you remember that McDonald's we ate at that time? You like, what? You know what I'm saying?
Right.
You know what I'm saying? What about, remember the time we gonna buy Miss Such and Such place and she made the meal she cooked? That sticks in our minds and hearts.
Right.
Even after your physical death.
Right.
People can go back and relate to say, no, I remember little such and such. You know, that you could be an impact, that you can't die.
Exactly.
You can't die. Quick Nipsey Hussle situation, story. 2010, 2011. I'm in California backstage. And when Nipsey Hussle, when he came out, at first I was kind of concerned. At the time, the rappers were wearing the white Jesus penalty. I said, oh man, that's what he got on one of the white Jesus things.
Right.
Yeah, and I said, here we, you know, and that's what all the rappers was wearing at the time. But I got closer, and I seen it was Malcolm X.
Wow.
Gold with diamond encrusted, it was Malcolm X. I said, wow. And I asked Nipsey Hussle, I said, are you familiar with Chairman Fred Hampton?
Right.
And he said to me, he said, Chairman Fred Hampton Jr., what sort of man would I be if I didn't know who Chairman Fred Hampton was? That stuck with me. Wow. And My mother, she met Nipsey Russell and gave him donate money to the Black Nipsey
Right.
Russell, the comedian,
Right.
another generation, but got him to the point where he donated to the Black Panther Party free breakfast program.
Beautiful thing. And the things that you're doing in the community to uplift the situation. Speak on that and how these brothers can help you so that you can help our people.
Right on. A major base we got is the Hampton House. That's the house in which Chairman Fred grew up in as a child. So a lot of our survival programs, like the Triple C's, Children, Community, and Cubs, done in the spirit of the Black Panther Party Free Breakfast Program. We do right there, right from the Hampton House, 804 South 17th Avenue. We do on 63rd and Ashland. We go to hot spots, wherever it's going down. And some people say, Chairman, you don't run from trouble, you run to troubles.
Exactly.
We in France, we in Brazil, Gary, Indiana. That's a major, we have the Freedom on Radio, we do every Wednesday. Done in the spirit of Black Panther Party newspaper. Myself and Lady of Rage, some generations know it as Afro
Hey,
Plus,
sister.
yes indeed, or
That's my sister.
Baby D. We out there organized, we do that every Wednesday. We at the Cook County Jail continuously. We have a program, we taking water and food down to the women in Logan, Stateville, myself, Dr. LaShawn, Cassandra Greer and others working on that. On 63rd and Laughlin, 63rd and Justine, you know what I'm saying? The Chairman Fred breakfast is actually started this upcoming Saturday. People go to SaveTheHamptonHouse.org, hit the donate button, how they can support. You know what I'm saying? We need support out there. And the streets is our office. Our work hours are 24 hours a day, nonstop.
How can people reach you on social media, especially the people that are in the industry? I know you're working on a program for the Hampton House. That should have been done 5 minutes after you decided to do it. How can these brothers and sisters that are in power in Hollywood and other places reach out to you to assist you in continuing that project?
Right on. Definitely, again, SaveTheHamptonHouse.org. SaveTheHamptonHouse.org. They can hit us on social media. I'm on Instagram, official Chairman Fred Hampton Jr. We're working on getting up in the ante teams, more outlets for the Save the Hampton House. But right now, email, speaking engagements, whatever, Chairman Fred Speaks. That's Chairman Fred Speaks at gmail.com. That's the major way. Hit us up at Chairman Fred Speaks with the S at gmail.com.
I want to say a hello and a thank you, a special thank you to the Lady of Rage. That's my sister. That's,
indeed.
you know, your sister. Love you very much, you know, and thank you for the work that you continue to do, because I know she's always by your side and she's always putting the message out there.
Right on.
You know, so we wanted to give a special shout out to her. What are your personal goals? Things that are closest to your heart that you want to get done today through the Black Panther Cubs?
Something his extra heart. I just came back this last week. Everyone's familiar with the situation in Chicago in particular, which is infamously referred to as Chirac. The retreat from the city program we're doing, taking these children right down hour outside Chicago on farmland. We're working on getting bus and transportation, take them down there on at least twice a month, hopefully on a week, every weekend. But they can hit us up, SaveTheHamptonHouse at gmail.com. We need support with that retreat from the city. I've seen the impact of children just going down there one day. So we're working on getting some buses. We're working on getting some, I'm about to say dune buggies, the four-wheelers, you know, getting that down.
Dune buggies.
See how disconnected, yeah, whatever the rides is.
Yeah.
So we taking them youth down there. It'd be like a transformation when them youth go down there, it'd be like a Jenny Craig commercial before and after.
Wow.
You can see their energy be, yeah.
So, you know, I know you know a lot of people in the industry,
Yes.
you know, entertainers and
Yes.
all. Is there a not-for-profit organization that these brothers and sisters can donate to,
Yes.
and then they can write it off on their taxes?
No doubt about it. SaveTheHamptonHouse.org. It's a donate button on there. They can write directly to 804 South 17th Avenue, Maywood, Illinois, 60153. But SaveTheHamptonHouse.org. Hit the donate button. It's a non-for-profit.
Can you define what an OG is to you?
First, let me premise expressing appreciations.
Yes, sir.
Y'all, you know what I'm saying, for being here.
Yes, sir.
Because deal is we want to get to every avenue. We want to get, possibly get the word
without
out.
a doubt. You're
shout
my
out-
friend.
shout
You're
out
my
to
brother.
OG. You got to believe it. Yes, indeed.
Before you answer that question,
Yeah.
like I said, you're my friend and you're
Yes.
my brother.
Yes.
And you're also the godfather to my
You
daughter.
better, we work in sync.
I wanted to get it out before
We-
you. I
we-
saw
we-
you
I was
trying to
about- I was
get it
about
out
say
there.
No doubt about it. No, which I'm honored.
Yes,
I'm
sir.
honored and humbled. You know what I'm saying? Man, love my goddaughter, man.
Yes, sir.
I think it's imperative that when people hear certain terms, like you distinguish, you said the original gangsters, and you talk about gentlemen. And I tell people they just see these terms in, I guess, in a cliche sort of way. But you also on the tag team, which you emphasized about individuals who've been through certain experiences, and even with the other brothers that you interview, I've seen that too. You tapped into my experience, your experiences, and that's something that. Now, in many arenas, people are forced to say, okay, deal in absolutes. Like, okay, I don't know about this. I'm
Right.
in this life, so on and so forth. But that's our experiences. People should relate to that and take advantage of that.
Exactly.
Because in many cases, individuals, young youth in particular, are giving individuals who speak in a foreign language to them. That even, they may have good intentions, but a lot of times they say, man, I can't relate to these people talking about.
Exactly.
They need a GPS map to find out where I come from.
Right.
We relate to that, to
Yes,
the
sir.
community. And it's something, again, so let's seize the time. So that, just to add on to what you said, individuals, in many cases, we've been there and done that.
Right away.
And don't take for granted the fact that we are able to be here, because in many cases, we've kissed the casket, tangled with torch, and
Wow.
we dance with death.
Wow.
And real models as opposed to role models.
Yes, sir. That couldn't say it any better. Real models. We all have to relate to each other so that we can understand the situation that we're in. Don't forget, we've been here 400 years and it ain't never been to our advantage. So let's not get lost in the sauce. So, my brother, thank you. This ain't the last time. It's been many, many years, brother. We gonna stay in this thing till the fight is won.
Love and respect. Let's continue to make history, and tape history.
My man.
Yes, indeed.
That's it. That's all. We have created this show so that men and women alike can come forward and tell their truth. If you have people that you believe to be an OG, go into the comment section, write us, let us know where to find the history so that we can authenticate it, bring them on the show, tell their story so that we can add to the American history. That's it. That's all.
The original OG.